What is good, defenders, and welcome to the most LAFC podcast recording right now on the interwebs. That's right, this is Defenders of the Bank, episode 304, and good evening, everybody. Yes, we know. We hope you all had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. You know my voice. It is the Scarf, J.R. Liebert, coming at you live from Lawndale. That's right, it's my house back here right now. And to my right, the hat-clad, I was going to try and come up with an H alliteration, but either way, we love him and his new hat, one Christian Philly Philemon.
Hop along, Philly's the name, here to talk to you about the LAFC game. That's right, bought myself this fun little drinking hat up in Lake Arrowhead, California, as you, me, and Panda were celebrating Nina's birthday just a couple of days ago. We went to this awesome place called Cadillac Cowboy, where we had margaritas and a shot ski that JR accidentally spilled all over Nina, which is kind of funny. You're taller.
That is not true at all. Wait, time out. There were four of us lifting that. Why is it me?
I had no problems. I don't know. I just felt like throwing you under the bus. No problems. But as we were rolling out of the joint, I saw this cowboy hat, and I said, if it was under $30, I would procure said hat and call it my party hat, my drinking hat. $25. Here we are. Hop along, Philly in the house.
My condolences to all of you out there that have to look at that hat, but it is, if nothing else, America, my friends. That's right. And again, Memorial Day weekend, we want to thank all of the service people who serve or have served. Obviously, Memorial Day weekend, a little different because we remember those that, oh, there goes my light. There we go. Remember those that have been lost in times of war, service people who have given their lives for our country. So we want to say a big thank you to all of the service people who are listening. And if you have a family member, friend, loved one, relative, whomever that has given their life, please thank you and thank them, thank the family, thank everybody, because we could not do this if they didn't do that. And that is why we appreciate all of our service people. Obviously, I'll say it, the most of which one 15-year veteran that Christian is married to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's my wife spent 15 years in the Army, in case y'all didn't know. And it wasn't one of those she got to do the reserve thing and stay home kind of a deal. Not that there's any kind of service that's greater than the other. She did end up going to Al Nazariya in Iraq for about 12 months back in 2001, where a lot of her fellow servicemen and women did not make it. So yeah, part of the reason why I'm also rocking this hat, to honor my wife's fallen friends, and obviously to give a shout out to my wife. And it's Memorial Day. It's America, like I've seen in the chat thus far, and we live here, so there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And you trying to tie that to something that has to do with your wife is what's keeping you off of the couch, at least for now, for buying that hat. So well done, sir. By the way, Philly, episode 304, I had to look it up because I wasn't sure. Area code 304, you know where that is?
Off the top of my head, no.
How about all of West Virginia? There you go. It is all of West Virginia, obviously, including Charleston and several other wonderful cities. You ever been to West Virginia?
Through the city of Wheeling so many times, Scarf. From that drive going from New York to Indiana University, you're always passing through Wheeling. It's the smallest of all the states because you're right there on the tip. You're out of Wheeling and out of West Virginia within 15 minutes. Then starts the long stretch. Did
you just say it's the smallest of all the states, though?
That you cross through on the route from New York to Indiana.
Got it. Okay.
You spend a good 6 hours in Pennsylvania, 15 minutes in West Virginia, another 5 or so in Ohio, and then about 3 and change when you cross the Indiana border.
Well, there you go. Look,
of course. Rob had to chime in here with Marshall. By the way, there's a player from UC Riverside by the name of Alex Vukovic who just transferred over to Marshall, Rob. So you might want to check him out. He's a big, tall center back who was training with LAFC during the preseason. So you might want to keep an eye out on the transfer from UC Riverside. Alex Vukovic, check him out when he hits Marshall on the campus of Huntington here in the next couple of weeks.
There you go. West Virginia. Great song, too, by the way. Come on, I can't think of West Virginia without thinking of the song. That's, by the way, the only reason why we brought it up. Episode 304, area code 304. It is what it is. Look, we had a wonderful weekend. I bought some new underwear at Jockey. That was my big thing this weekend. I
bought a hat. He bought underwear. It's a hell of a day of shopping.
Philly did tell me that I could wear the underwear on my head like a hat. I chose not to. But that being said, it was a wonderful. I spent the day up there with you guys celebrating Nina's birthday. So shout out, happy birthday, Nina. Let's get into the usual suspects of a Defenders of the Bank episode, if you don't mind, sir. A little bit of this day in LAFC history, along with some news and notes. And there's a couple of quick things for news and notes. And then we've got our Angel City Minute LAFC 2 check-in. And Philly, we might as well talk a little bit about some of the other soccer that happened over the weekend, just real quick, kind of touching on some stuff that you and I enjoyed. But first and foremost, let's get in to this day in LAFC history. The match played on the 25th. We are recording on the 27th. I decided to split the difference. We went in the middle for this day in LAFC history, the 26th of May, 1977, the birthday of one Mark Dos Santos, our assistant coach, and a guy who's been here since day one, left for a little bit to hang out in Vancouver, which is a wonderful city unless you have to play on that carpet. And he decided better of it and came back on our bench. We know he's got aspirations to coach somewhere else. We know Ante Razov now has aspirations to coach somewhere else. But either way, we love having Mark Dos Santos on the bench.
He was 47. He's 47 years young.
Yeah, 1977, not bad, right? Just
not bad at all.
Just a couple of years older than you, Philly.
Get it.
And then on the 26th of 2018, LAFC playing to a thrilling 1-1 draw against DC United. But what that game was known for more than anything else during the match was Adama Diomande making his MLS debut, subbing on for the man who scored the first goal against the Sounders, Diego Rossi, in the 82nd minute. Rossi scored the goal in the 39th minute to put us up 1-0. But there was a red card in that match for one Dejan Jakovic right before the half, and LAFC could not hold on as they allowed a goal in the 84th minute. But Philly, that's not the real reason why I bring up that game. Adama Diomande, a red card, Diego Rossi. No, my friend. That's the game where Jimmy proposed to Cassie on the pitch before the match. So wanted to bring that up. We love Jimmy. We love Cassie. And just wanted to remember that fantastic anniversary that is now, my goodness, 7 years ago on that date, the proposal. So congrats to Jimmy and Cassie.
I remember that day vividly. I mean, that was really early on, obviously, within our club's history. And first proposal, without a doubt, not to be the last proposal, because we did see our good friends Max and Taylor do that just as well, just a couple of years later. All in all, I can't recall how many engagements that we've seen at LAFC, but for sure two. But it all started with Jimmy, who now works for the team, and the bringer of the thunder in that of Cassie.
We love you guys so much. Let's get into some news and notes. Look, this was never announced by LAFC. So if I'm wrong, please let me know, LAFC PR. But no, not you, them. Based on the 18 that Philly will discuss for LAFC playing in Atlanta, they had to have signed two players to at least short-term contracts before the match, one being Tommy Musto, the other being Luca Bombino. And I mean, how Italian do we sound right now with Tommy Musto and Luca Bombino coming off the bench for LAFC? I absolutely love it. I've said
they played with a lot of Stugats, huh?
I've said over and over again, all due respect to Tommy Musto, Luca Bombino is my pick for an up-and-coming star out of the academy, now LAFC 2. I firmly believe he is going to get a first-team contract, maybe before the end of this year, but definitely sometime soon. Tons of potential with that kid who he plays outside back, kind of like a Sergi Palencia or an Omar Campos. Really fun to watch, Luca Bombino. Like I said, though, it wasn't announced. So maybe we didn't sign them to short-term contracts, but I don't see how they could be in the 18 if we didn't. So there's that. Want to give a big congratulations to Matty Bogusz, who was on the bench for team of the match day 16. Didn't get the starting nod, but he's there on the bench. We will tell you why in this episode. That's it for all the news and notes I have. Philly, any news and notes, anything with LAFC that you would like to talk about?
Let's see here. Actually, there was something that occurred. Give me just one moment.
I will give you one moment.
They're not loading up. This was just announced earlier today, actually, as of a couple of hours ago. So apparently LAFC is doing the street by street soccer series, which is going to start to go down on Saturday, June the 8th, between 12 and 4 in the Anaheim Marketplace. They just had made the announcement a couple hours ago, but obviously getting out in the communities, having tournaments, getting people out there to play. So, check that out. And as far as any kind of news and notes are concerned, I know you like to do an update in regards to players that have played at LAFC. How about players that we've loaned out? Stipe Buke on a club that just recently got promoted from La Liga 2 to La Liga. You know anything about that?
Yeah, so Real Valladolid gets the promotion, which triggers the buy clause for Real Valladolid. So Stipe is now off of LAFC officially, or maybe it doesn't become official until July 1st.
Until it becomes official, it's not official.
Yeah, I think it's July 1st where it might actually become official, or maybe the day after the league year is over. I don't quite 100% know. Tommy Scoops will have to let you know on that one for sure. But either way, the clause has been triggered. It was part of the transfer agreement to Real Valladolid that he will now be bought. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, we got him for $6.5 million. I think it was $4 million for the loan scenario. So we'll see. I mean, he didn't get a lot of burn in La Liga 2. I think he only had like 1 assist over the course of 11 games played. But he's 21 years old with a whole bunch of upside. So we'll get more information on that. They beat Villarreal's B team 3-2 in what was a barn burner of a game. If you look at the scoring line, Scarf, it was ridiculous. You had Villarreal B team that was they scored in the 86th, they scored in the 76th, and they're up 2-1. And then late in the game, in the 90th, and then 7 minutes after that, you had an own goal and then another penalty kick, and that's how that game ends up. It was a ridiculously entertaining game.
Yeah, happy for Stipe Buke. Do want to mention that both of the matches coming up, and I was going to talk about this at the end of the pod, but we'll talk about it now. May 29th is our next match. That's Wednesday against Minnesota United. That's also Armenian Heritage Night. So there's a special ticket package. You can get an Armenian Heritage Night bucket hat if you buy a special ticket package. So don't forget on that one, if you really want that bucket hat, you have to buy a special ticket package. Al Hearn, be careful because we care about Pride Month, because I'm about to talk about it right now. The match on June 1st, Saturday, June 1st, is our Pride match. Here, they got this. Here, I got it right here. This is.
It looks so much better in person than it did otherwise.
It's interesting. I don't know. It says that says "Love Unites." By the way, if you can read it. That's the Pride top they'll be wearing in warm-ups. Look, I'll say this, the original YouTube navy blue with the rainbow dots and everything, that's one of my favorite warm-up tops we've ever had. The Rockstar one with all the different bright colors on it. The Pride Night tops, the match warm-ups are just the coolest things ever. I know, Philly, you and I have a few of those in our closet, so very, very cool, very happy to own that. Chris Lafferty, I'm going to put your comment up here so people have to see that. Thank God last year we had Stipe and not. I disagree, Al Hearn.
Completely disagree, Al Hearn. And I invite you to Christmas Tree Lane to say that to Pride Republic and everybody around the tents. I invite you kindly.
Here's the beautiful part about the World's Game is that everybody is invited to the table. So very happy to be honoring the LGBTQ plus community. Our good friend Luke has an excellent podcast, LGBTFC. I was lucky enough to be a guest on it earlier this year. Luke has come on our podcast several times and talked about some stuff. We absolutely love them. So yeah, look, either way, Pride Night, June 1st, Armenian Heritage Night, May 29th.
I know the link for that. If you go to Los Armenios, that's the supporter group that posted about it. I know they have a link on their Instagram site, so check that out. That I know for a fact is where you can get a link to buy the ticket package with the bucket hat, and also pay our friends Los Armenios a visit as well.
Yeah, there you go. Real quick check in on Angel City. Thrilling 0-0 draw to their rivals on Thursday, May 23rd at BMO Stadium. The draw now sees Angel City in 11th place with 11 points through 10 matches. Their next match is Saturday, June 8th at Gotham FC. Philly, you ready? Saturday, is it Saturday, June 8th or Sunday, June 8th? Did I get my time wrong?
I've lost track of life.
It's June 8th for sure. Maybe it's Saturday, maybe it's Sunday. That's my fault. I'll double check in a second. I'm pretty sure it's Saturday. Philly, breakfast with Angel City. The match kicks off at 9:30 in the morning. 9:30. There you go.
Yeah, I have a hard enough time getting up that early just to go to work.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I find my way to tailgates, not lately, at that time pretty easily. It's kind of weird. I was watching something that was along the lines of, remember when you were a kid and you could wake up, or on vacation, you could wake up early regardless of what time it is because of the excitement and the uncertainty? Well, when you become an adult and go through the monotony of Groundhog Day, maintaining a 9-to-5 job, knowing exactly what you're going to face, the excitement to get up early in the morning isn't necessarily there. And I found that to be an interesting case because, Saturday mornings, no problem waking up for cartoons, right? Going to school, problem. And that manifested its way all the way into adulthood as well.
It just works differently, Philly. We used to get up because of the excitement and the anticipation. Now I just stay up later because of the dread and the anticipation of what's coming the next day. So it's just, all it's done is it's attached itself to the night rather than to the early morning for me. Well, don't forget, by the way, we always talk about this when we talk about Angel City. Make sure you check out Angel City Chicks for their podcast for all of your ACFC news. LAFC 2, quick check-in. It was a dramatic match in Austin as LAFC 2 defeats Austin 2, 2-1 on Friday, May 24th. This match was scoreless until the 82nd minute when Austin put one in the back of the net, but LAFC 2 would score twice in the final 3 minutes and stoppage, with James Arteaga and Adrian Wabowo both finding the back of the net for 3 points on the road. And Philly, the next match is a big one for LAFC 2 at Titan Stadium, Sunday, June 2nd versus North Texas FC. It is a matchup of number 1 in our division, which is North Texas, number 2 in our division, which is us. It is going to be a fun one out at Titan Stadium, Sunday, June 2nd, 7 p.m. What are you doing on Sunday?
Oh, June 8th, a birth date of one Chris Lafferty, friend of the pod, a Philly fill-in on a number of occasions. This is all good stuff, baby. We're going to have to celebrate. The thing about Lafferty is Lafferty doesn't really drink, so it's not as much fun. Oh, wait a minute. He loves Malort. Bring Malort when you get an opportunity so we could celebrate Chris Lafferty's birthday.
You're a terrible human. Lafferty, maybe we'll do wait, Al Hearn, yes you do.
Are you kidding? Al Hearn, what the frick are you talking about?
Maybe we'll have Lafferty over for breakfast on his birthday. He can come watch Angel City with us. We'll hang out. We'll throw Lafferty. Lafferty, you're probably working anyway, though, man. You've been working like 24/7 recently up until this last weekend. Hope you enjoyed your trip down to San Diego. Either way, let's get into it. Philly, LAFC going to our very...
Hold on a second. Al Hearn, everybody's entitled to their opinion and all that other stuff, but I'm also entitled to put you in a timeout, brother. So there you go. Feel free to unfollow. I don't give up. And we move on.
All right. Philly, LAFC traveling to our personal house of horrors in Atlanta, a stadium that I was at just the week before. Drove right past Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We ate lunch or dinner actually in the shadow of it with my middle schoolers just a couple of weeks ago. A place that has never been kind to LAFC, especially the first time we went there. We got an absolute butt kicking. The second time, it was a little more frustrating of a loss, but nonetheless, Philly, it is safe to say we have not done well in Atlanta.
No, I mean, that 5-0 butt kicking was the worst franchise loss on the road. One of the worst franchise losses in history. It was ugly. I remember that game distinctively. Panda and I were down in San Diego at a bar called Shakespeare's Pub, which, by the way, is a fantastic soccer pub down in San Diego. And it was the one of the ugliest games we had ever saw. Atlanta United had that great distinction of coming in as a brand new franchise, taking this league by storm. But quite honestly, I'm happier with the way our results have gone through. Atlanta United won in their first year, piling on the trophies relatively quickly. But ever since ever since that first year, things kind of went downhill the minute Frank de Boer took over as head coach. It hasn't been the same Atlanta United, and the fan support and all that doesn't seem. I know they're rowdy in there, the footy mob in their supporters section. A lot of empty seats, though, at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which I was quite surprised with because they do, in fact, have one of the best atmospheres in Major League Soccer. But as you mentioned, a house of horrors for LAFC in the past, but it wouldn't be the case today. I'm not going to say it was all sunshine and rainbows, Al Hearn, but it was, definitely a satisfying scenario.
He already blocked him. He can't see you. Either way, look.
The only thing I'm going to say is, like, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but obviously, with the way we feel about things, we're also entitled to, monitor and see who gets to write stuff on.
We did.
We're going to open a debate in regards to why certain things are happening. It's one person's opinion. We're here to talk about LAFC. So maybe he's in a timeout. Maybe I delete him. At the end of the day, I don't give a shit one way or another. We carry on.
All right, let's move forward from that. You're letting one guy in the chat get you all out of whack, but that's all right.
Oh, I don't, because same said individual wouldn't have the cojones to go to Christmas Tree Lane to indicate what his feelings are either. Anyway, let's move along.
I'm definitely ready to move on. Head coach Gonzalo Pineda on the hot seat for sure in Atlanta. They had never in their club's history lost 3 matches in a row at home, let alone be in a position to lose a 4th. And that is exactly what Gonzalo Pineda was heading towards. Look, they mentioned it on the broadcast that their previous coach had, I believe, 13 points through 13 matches and was let go after those 13 matches and only 13 matches. And Genuine Cougar, don't worry, I got plenty to talk about Edward Atuesta.
Oh, yeah.
I lost my mind. I even said something on Twitter. I said something in a private chat that Philly and I are both in that I said lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of things that I cannot repeat on this podcast. But either way,
I've already opened up the floodgates with my utilization of the
yeah, you know me, not going to happen. Either way, the seat is hot for one Gonzalo Pineda. And unfortunately for him, it would not get any easier with 2 of his designated players, one for sure not playing in the match and the other coming off of an injury and not coming in until the 60th. Gonzalo Pineda had to deal with no Georgios Giacomakis, who is a bona fide number 10. I mean, he is a goal scorer in this league, as good as it gets. He is special and unfortunately would not be able to play. And of course, the designated player I'm talking about that came on in the 60th, the World Cup champion himself, the first, not only anymore, but first active World Cup champion in Major League Soccer history, Thiago Almada, and he is beyond special, but only, I believe, 1 non-penalty goal and 1 assist on the season so far this season. Not the breakout that Thiago Almada was expecting, but either way, we catch them on a tough time. No Giacomakis, Almada in the 18, but not having played in a while. Even a player like Derek Williams, by the way, not having played in quite a while. So either way, a tough match for Atlanta coming in, taking on LAFC, who has been riding a high, Philly, on the road, especially with road wins in our last 2.
It's kind of amazing that it's taken as long as it has for us to pile on wins on the road, but we've been playing at a much better pace. Defensively, we've been, we could say that we haven't been as great, but I mean, there's been a significant period of time where we haven't allowed any goals to go through. But yeah, I'm still shocked that we're having this conversation and that we're excited about road wins. For a team that wants to go en route to an MLS Cup, you got to win at home and you got to at least secure a point on the road. But LAFC seem to have wiped off that on-road blues that we've been maintaining.
Yeah, we came into the match without having given up a goal in our last few matches. I've got to go back and do the math. Don't worry, defenders. I'm going to check the math, including stoppage time. Someone's got to give me a good reason why stoppage time minutes are not factored in to shutout streaks. I absolutely do not understand it. I am very confused. If you have 8 minutes of stoppage time that you're still able to shut the opponent out for, why don't you get to add those 8 minutes onto your shutout streak? It makes 0 sense. So, I mean, I'm going to go back and do the math for all of you guys. But either way, we won in Las Vegas. We won in St. Louis. And now
That
we
was a big
go
one.
to Atlanta and Philly. Obviously, we talked about it. We're 0-2 there. We're only 1-2-1 against them in our club's history. We've only beaten them one time out of 4 matches. Not a great showing. But what do you say, Philly? Let's get into the lineups and get into this match.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of work to do this entire week, defenders. We got one more sleep tomorrow, the game on Wednesday, a recap on Thursday, one more sleep on Friday, the game on Saturday, a pod on Sunday. We don't want to waste too much time because the end of this week, you and I are going to be voice fatigued. So yeah, let's get crack-a-lackin'. Who do we have starting for Atlanta?
Yeah, they come out in a 4-4-2, and in goal for part of the match anyway would be Philly used to call him Runkle. Right? Was that the?
I mean, I'm still calling Brad Guzan Runkle. If you watched, what was it, Sex in the City? Yeah, Sex in the City. And Brad Guzan just reminds me of Runkle. It is what it is.
So keeper Brad Guzan, by the way, in a matchup of what would have been the 2 oldest players in Major League Soccer.
I stand corrected. Runkle is Californication. Thank you, Panda.
Oh, there you go. The Philly, 6 days younger is Brad Guzan than one Kai Kamara, but you'll talk about Kai Kamara in a second. I really
kind of. Not for a long time, though.
not for a long time, that's for sure. Defender Brooks Lennon, who shouldn't have been in the game after the 22nd minute. Defender Stian Gregerson, Luis Abram, and Caleb Wiley, a player who was my player to watch and was fine in the match. Really didn't do a whole lot for them, but I think watch on the Olympic team and maybe on the World Cup team soon, Caleb Wiley may make an impact. The 29-year-old designated player from Tiflis, Georgia, Saba Lobjanidze. That took me a little bit to make sure I got right. But by the way, Georgia, right under Armenia. We have Armenian Heritage Night on Wednesday. Georgia's right underneath where Armenia is there. Midfielder Bartosz Szlisz from Poland, 25 years old. Midfielder Tristan Muyumba and Shande Silva. Their forwards, Daniel Rios and Jamal Thiare. God, just listening to that lineup, Philly, we know Yakumakis and Almada are out and injured, but gone are the days of Joseph Martinez and Miguel Almiron and Ezekiel Barco and all these players.
I mean, you could bring up Tata Martino in the mix too. I mean, he
Absolutely.
was a very big part. The GM that constructed that Atlanta United team, and right now off the top of my head, his name escapes me, but he's the same guy that got Miami in trouble with all the designated players getting paid under the table. And then guess what he does now? He's in charge. He's the president of the USL. I got to remember his name. But yeah, he constructed that incredible Atlanta United lineup that really did an amazing thing. I mean, how many franchises start from zero and are as successful as they are? But it's easy to say, though, that within these last 5-6 years, we've had the better model because we've had the sustained success, whereas Atlanta United has regressed quite a bit.
Yeah, Philly, the name you're looking for is Paul McDonough.
That's right. I knew it was an Irish fellow. Well, at least a guy with an Irish last name.
In the 18, real quick, just to go over their 18, we mentioned Thiago Almada and Derek Williams, both are coming back from injury. Edwin Mosquera. I got very excited when Atlanta brought on Firmino, but it was the wrong Firmino. It was Nick Firmino. And their backup goalkeeper is one Josh Cohen, a 31-year-old keeper from Mountain View, California, just outside of beautiful San Jose. The 3-time Israeli League champion with Maccabi Haifa and 2021 Israeli League Player of the Year. That's right. The keeper wins Player of the Year in 2021 of the Israeli League. He spent a lot of time with Maccabi Haifa and played in the Champions League, had lots of big game experience.
But yet to have any minutes in Major League Soccer for Atlanta United until later on.
Well, and what's interesting, right, is he's played in a couple Open Cup matches, hadn't given up a goal, played in 2 matches for Atlanta United too, hadn't given up a goal. And it's a player who I think a lot of fans in Atlanta kind of see as the torch ready to be passed from one Brad Guzan at some point to Josh Cohen. But Josh Cohen, look, 31 years old is not old for a keeper, but it's not young for a player who's going to be getting first team minutes, maybe in MLS for the first time next season. Either way, that's the lineup for Atlanta. Philly, a little bit of a different lineup for LAFC, considering two big names out in this one for us.
Yeah, which I'll get to really quickly. On the injured list, Martinez still out with a back injury. That must be one heck of a back injury.
Yeah, he has a fractured bone in his back, from what we have heard.
Wow, that's all right. So I won't we won't depict that it was just based on what we thought it was, which is the technical staff being upset with how he's been behaving as of late. Anyways, moving along from Martinez, Ilie Sanchez, who sustained a leg injury in that game recently, in which we had Edward Atuesta sub in, he did not play. It was stated in the press conference that we were at that it was precautionary, so Ilie getting some much deserved time off, and then Kai Kamara, who did not feature in the game as well, head injury. And, of course, Lorenzo Della Valle, who's out for the season with the ACL, he would not feature in the game. But, yeah, you said it, man. New formation, who dis? LAFC coming through with something slightly different than what we've been accustomed to seeing from them. As far as the starting lineup goes, though, no difference in between who starts in the pipes. You got Hugo Lloris. By the way, I did this interview on Soccer and 60 with Abraham Romero. Check that out. I think it's on the Empire Strikers thing, or otherwise you could look up Soccer and 60 or KMET AM Radio. I forget exactly, but great interview with Abraham Romero. And I bring that up because he's 2-0 in the U.S. Open Cup. We got Aaron Long, Maxime Chanot, and Jesus David Murillo moving a little forward up the field, which is wild. Omar Campos, Edward, I was dying to get a red card out to Atuesta. Timothy Tillman and Sergi Palencia. Interesting to have Campos and Palencia move up a little bit. And up top, Denny Bouanga, Matty Bogush, and Kike Oliveira. For your subs, the ones that did feature, Eric Dueñas, he came in the game in the 81st minute. Eddie Segura came out with a couple of minutes late in the game. And then we have Luis Muller, I was going to say the Romanian, the German signed player who was over at California Baptist University. Those are your players that came into the game for LAFC.
Yeah, interesting formation. You mentioned it, Philly, a 3-4-3 in this one with three center backs. At one point, we had four center backs and then maybe even five center backs on the pitch at one point. I'll talk about that later in the match. It was absolutely nuts what we were doing at the end of this one. No Kai Kamara up top. I just put that up there. Now you put it
sorry.
That's okay. No Kai Kamara, no Ilie Sanchez definitely made things interesting in this one. You got to imagine, Philly, no Edward Atuesta in the next one is going to make things even more interesting, depending on the health of one Ilie Sanchez.
Yeah, that's you just took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, that's going to be a fun one. Look, in the 3rd minute of the match, as we get started, Brooks Lennon pulls Denny Bouanga once from behind. Denny shakes away from him, pulls him another time from behind, and no yellow card. It was absolutely ridiculous that there was no yellow card 3 minutes in because, oh, by the way, in the 26th minute, because I don't know if we'll talk about it or not, it's not a huge deal, but Brooks Lennon finally got a yellow card. It was absolutely ridiculous that Brooks Lennon was still in that match after the 26th minute. Should have been gone because it would have been his second yellow card. Terrible, terrible officiating. And by the way, let's have a quick moment of silence for the career of one Angel Hernandez, all of our favorite baseball umpires.
No, I don't want to give. I can't believe you're even bringing his name into this.
He is such a terrible umpire. I'm so glad he's
take one of these to the dome piece, Angel.
All right, so that's the 3rd minute. Hugo gets a little action there in the 7th minute with an easy dive to his left to grab Jean de Silva.
Silva had nothing on that shot.
Nah, nothing at all. But then Kike Oliveira from distance, but nothing on that one either in the 8th. But both keepers, getting a little good feel for it. And then in the 10th minute, Philly, I'm going to let you say something about this in a minute, but I'm done. I am done with this ridiculousness from Edward Atuesta this season. I am absolutely done with early, stupid, immature, childish yellow cards. You came back to us talking about bringing leadership and poise and stability in addition to the incredible skill that you've had. I am absolutely tired of watching Edward Atuesta not just pick up yellow cards, but they're stupid yellow cards at terrible times for terrible reasons. They talked about it on the broadcast. Yellow cards for dissent will drive coaches insane, especially yellow cards in the 10th minute when you know how relied upon you are going to be in that match with no Ilya Sanchez available, with Matty Bogusz having to play up top and eventually come back to the midfield maybe. I am absolutely appalled at the lack of maturity, the lack of leadership of one Edward Atuesta. He should have been one who in training and then over the course of the season would have earned the captain's armband. I know Ilya Sanchez is our captain when he is out there, and I am more than all for that. But I would have thought that at some point coming back over from Palmeiras, that Edward Atuesta would have learned just a little bit about how to comport himself over the course of 90 minutes. And instead, he goes barking at officials. He picks up stupid yellows in the middle of the park for no reason whatsoever. He picks up one here in the 10th. Obviously, I'm pissed for what's going to happen later on in the match. But Philly, I got to say this. I am done with Edward Atuesta and his ridiculous immaturity.
I mean, you're not done. It's too early in the season for you to be done with Edward Atuesta. I'm not going to say anything any better than what you relayed, but it's not just him. Same with Murillo. He's always bickering into the officials' ear as well. I really think it should be upon the coaching staff to just tell some of these guys to just shut the F up and just allow the person wearing the captain's armband to really bark. Because ultimately, like you said, it's costing us, and it is childish, especially coming from somebody who should be viewed upon, like you mentioned, as a leader on the club, somebody who's been there from the get-go. I mean, he grew up here. He said it when he first came on, where they had that press conference at the hotel in downtown LA. But yes, I agree with you. He needs to stop. Murillo needs to stop. The bickering to the officials it's silly. They're not going to change their opinions on some of those things. So why waste that kind of a chance? Why put yourself in that kind of a scenario? I hope at the very least this teaches Edward Atuesta not to do it again, because he's been playing with his hand just above the fire for quite some time this season. And now finally he got himself burned. More on that later. But yes, I got nothing more to say that could be any more intriguing than what you just said.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say in addition to what you just said is I don't think he actually grew up here. I think he got older here. He's just yet to grow up. It's a little frustrating watching Edward Atuesta this season.
I know my Atuesta jersey then on Wednesday.
I love it. I know I'm going in hard on him, but that's because much was expected. And when much is expected, you know what? Sunlight's got to be a better disinfectant right now. Roberto, you can just hold on there, sir. Look, 13th minute, we get our first corner, but everyone's still trying to calm Atuesta down as he continues to go after
begging for red.
Absolutely. And that's in the 10th minute he was begging for one. Absolutely ridiculous. In the 17th minute, by the way, Danny Bawanga got fouled real hard for the first of several times that wasn't called. I don't know. My grammar's a little off on that one. Either way, he was down and had to come off the pitch for two minutes because of this off-field treatment rule, which I'm all for when players are faking it. Apparently, there's a blood provision in the rule because the player who was bleeding earlier or later in the match didn't have to come off because there was blood. And so he could just come right back on the pitch after changing his jersey. But because Denis Bouanga was legitimately fouled and it wasn't called, he had to stay off the pitch for 2 minutes. Absolutely ridiculous. But either way, nothing on the set piece. Brooks Lennon gets his yellow card in the 26th. And Philly, our first real, genuine moment of the match, other than the stupid yellow card for Edward Atuesta, comes in the 29th minute on a beautiful pass from Omar Campos.
Are you talking about the play into Matty Bogusz, the one that was blocked by Gregerson?
No. I'm talking about the one where Kike didn't lay out for it, but should have. This beautiful cross into the box in the 29th minute. Kike on a full run. Omar Campos put it where only Kike could have got a touch on it. Unfortunately, he didn't lay out for it and wound up just kind of running into the wall there at the back behind the goalpost, just kind of gingerly getting to that ball. A little disappointed that Kike Oliveira did not lay out. And then Philly, I don't know how we're not down in the 35th minute. You and I might have been able to put it better on frame than Daniel Rios.
Oh my God. The ball movement that Atlanta United had in that sequence was pretty darn good. That chip pass that found its way to Brooks Lennon, who finds a wide open Rios, and he really does his best impersonation of either Philly or the Scarf in that kind of a moment, because he whips completely a wide open look. There was no doubt he would have punched it into the back of the net. That's something where he was going to go back to the videotape and go, how in the hell did I miss that? That was a sitter, beautifully brought up by Atlanta United. And you're right, we are significantly lucky to not be down going into the half. And you know how it works when LAFC gets scored upon first, in particular on the road. But as luck would have it, we had some blessings from the soccer gods, because in the 35th minute, Atlanta United would not connect.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there wasn't much else going on until stoppage time, where in the second minute, Taniba Wanga earns a corner after he was blatantly tripped and no yellow card called again. Taniba Wanga was being given the business by Atlanta. And you know what? Kudos to Atlanta. You do it until the referee either sees it or stops it. And they weren't doing any of that in the first half. And off that corner, LAFC couldn't get to it. Somehow it drills Aaron Long in the solar plexus before he's able to try to turn and get a touch on it. I don't know how Aaron Long, I mean, clearly he was shielded by the defender who was right in front of him, but Aaron, just turn and fire it, do something. Unfortunately, in turning, he absolutely crushes the guy defending him in the face with his elbow. It wasn't anything that was on purpose or flagrant, but he definitely caught a chicken wing there, and he was down. This is where I learned about you don't have to come off the pitch for 2 minutes if there's blood, because then they know you're not faking it. So they checked all kinds of things on VAR, whether there was a handball or whether something. Nothing was missed. Nothing happened, but Chare definitely took an elbow from Aaron Long. And to be honest, that's pretty much it in the first half, in what was a pretty ho-hum first half.
That's a great adjective to go and talk about the first half. Ho hum. And by the way, look at what you just did. You opened up the floodgates for baseball banter into the podcast. Petco Park is a beautiful place. I will say that. And if the Mets don't beat the Dodgers, I mean, there's no pressure on the Mets. It's really all on the Dodgers. Because we know the Mets suck. So if the Mets lose, no one's surprised. But if the Mets do to what they did to the Dodgers at the Ravine recently, where they won 2 out of 3, that's on LA. That's all I'm going to say about that. LAFC was very offensive within the first 45 minutes. 11 shots, 3 of them on target. But Atlanta United had the same amount of shots on target with far less output in that of 5. LAFC had a decent passing game, if you really want to break it down, nearly at 90%, which is pretty solid. We've had games where we've been low 70s. This was a game where we were much more efficient connecting, and the chemistry is starting to show. And there's your first half as far as your highlights and your stats are concerned. Let's roll into the next 45.
Yeah, Philly, LAFC came out absolutely dominating the first 5 or 6 minutes of the second half. Again, what I continue to see, and you and I have talked about this a bunch of times on the pod, what I continue to see is Steve Cherundolo pulling all the right strings and making all the right adjustments coming out of halftime more often than not. And they absolutely came out on the front foot in the first 5 or 6 minutes. Plenty of good pressure, a nice little individual effort by Kike Oliveira, got several corner kicks. In the 51st minute, they were checking for a handball, but look, Gregerson's arm was right where it needed to be. No missed call, nothing going on there. But LAFC dominated the first 5 or 6 minutes. And the other thing I heard on the broadcast, by the way, the 32-52, even though they are in cavernous Mercedes-Benz Stadium, you could not miss the 32-52 dominating the airwaves on the broadcast. It was so cool to hear them. I mean, crystal clear. You could hear the 32-52 on TV.
I love it. Some of y'all go on all of these away days. I need to meet your travel agent. How the heck do you do it? So jealous. Atlanta is a place I would like to go visit for a sports occasion, as opposed to just having a layover en route to Europe. Very, very cool stuff. We heard a lot of actual crazy stories in regards to what happened with some of our friends in Atlanta, but we're not going to go into any of that. Are you giving me a timeout or a technical? What are we doing here?
Timeout. First world problems with Philly. I only get to go to Atlanta on my layover to Europe. My goodness.
Well, it's not like I'm going all the time. That's a big airport, man. I remember I missed a connecting flight because of how big that airport is with the trams and everything else. But I'd love to get out there. Shout out to everybody who went out there, and much love to everybody that gets to go on these away days. I wish I had a little more time to do stuff like that. One day I'll get to go to some away days that are not within the Pacific Northwest or 13 miles down the 110 to Carson.
I just need to find that bag of money so that I can afford to do all these things. Once I do, I'm good, Philly. That's all I need to do.
Well, I mean, you have 4 million trading cards that you caught in a storage unit. That's a bag of money right there.
Yeah, they got to get rid of them all. That's for sure. 55th minute. This is our moment. I feel like we have one every podcast, Philly, over the last couple of months or so. Our thank you, Maxime Chanot moment. We haven't had
that one.
It is. I know we haven't done. I got one for you though, Philly. I've got it planned. We haven't done it in a while, but I've got one planned for all of you out there that are waiting for the millions
and millions.
We're gonna bring back something.
Well, it might be 999,000 after earlier today.
I don't know where this went, but we're going to bring back something for you. But I just want to say thank you to Maxime Chanot after an awful giveaway by Jesus Murillo. It is Maxime Chanot running all the way back to save Murillo's butt. Very happy with the effort from Maxime Chanot. The corner was played very well, by the way, by Bartosz Schlisch off of that play by Maxime Chanot, but nobody was there. We got lucky again on that one, Philly.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about things that you're tired of is mistakes by Jesus David Murillo. That's the thing that drives me nuts. I think it drives me a little more nuts than what Edward Atuesta does. Murillo complains when he doesn't need to and doesn't show up when he has to. That's, to me, what's frustrating. But it's nice to see Chanot start to come up. Look, it was a matter of time before he would start to produce. The guy's a good player. He was. I know the question is his age, and is he still quick enough to handle some of these speedy forwards up top? But he came up big right here, and Jesus David Murillo not only owes him a high five and a free lunch, but a nice bottle of something to consume.
No, you're absolutely right. Speaking of players that are probably going to owe their teammates a drink after this one, good old Brad Guzan. Look, at first, there wasn't even a foul called, I believe. Wasn't even a foul called on this play. I don't know what the referee is looking at. But for you to miss Brad Guzan's blatant Reggie Miller, kick the leg out, and then knock over Matty Bogusz as he goes by, it was absolutely ridiculous. I'm screaming at the
you're going to agree that he fouled Greg Anthony in that game against the Knicks back in 95. Finally, we see things the same way.
I'm staying completely out of your Pacers-Knicks hatred. That's for sure.
Well, the Pacers just got swept today, so that's a good thing.
Who's 34? Genuine Cougar. Brad Guzan is like 37 or 38. I'm screaming at the television as they're showing the replay. How is this not a red card? And luckily, it took them like 2 minutes to decide. They're going to the monitors. Then it took them 2 minutes to decide it was a red card. Then it took them 3 minutes to actually take the free kick. But because of the red card, by the way, Brad Guzan, shown the red, comes off, and Josh Cohen comes onto the pitch for Jean de Silva. But by the way, Thiago Almada snuck out onto the pitch for Daniel Rios as well.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it, yes.
Right? Like, in all of this, everyone's upset about the red card, and here comes Cohen and everything. Oh, by the way, maybe one of the most talented players in Major League Soccer history coming on. And it was the good old broadcasters jinx, Philly, because what they're talking about on the broadcast is Josh Cohen hasn't conceded a goal for any Atlanta club all season. 2 U.S. Open Cup matches resulting in shutouts. 2 Atlanta United 2 matches resulting in shutouts for Josh Cohen. So you knew what was going to happen. Philly, they got a call. What was the name of the Portland backup keeper who had this happen to him just a couple of months ago? Because Matty Bogusz standing over the free kick, Philly, and another moment of Matty magic.
You knew it was coming. I mean, he had a lot of great passes into him. He got stopped by Guzan, got blocked by Gregerson. In some cases, they went over the top to feed him on a 1v1. Matty Bogusz was due for that opportunity. And yes, his shot might have deflected just a little bit, but the shot carried a lot of mustard behind it, and it threaded through. Bogusz right now with a career high, 5 goals on the season, and we're off to the races going up early. If you look at that play, Brad Guzan clearly shows how athletic he can be because he swept the leg in midair. That's something you would learn in martial arts class. How do I know? Because I practiced it for almost 2 decades. It was a hell of a kick to the shin. And how that wasn't caught and spotted to begin with is beyond me. But thank you, Runkle. Head on over to the showers, buddy. Your night is over. And by the way, Mr. Cohen, you got 28 minutes today, 28 minutes that you're not going to forget, 27 of which might have been good, but the first one, not so good.
James Pantemis and Josh Cohen, you may now report to the same anonymous meeting of seeing Matty Bogusz in your sleep after subbing on for a red-carded keeper. 66th minute, why Thiago Almada is special. He puts it right off the outside of the near post after dribbling through several players. My favorite quote by Taylor Twellman was in the post game after he's doing his recap. He goes, Brad Guzan gets a yellow card in the 60th. LAFC scores on the immediate free kick, and then LAFC immediately gets worse. I mean, I have not seen LAFC play that poorly. And for the most part, we were up a man. It was 11v10. Now, granted, they brought on their one guy who counts as 2 in Thiago Almada, but still, I was just shocked at how badly LAFC played. I mean, from the time where they went down a man, they dominated the run of play for the entire rest of the match. But I do have to say one thing. In the 70th minute, I wrote this down and then stared at it for a second. A good long ball pass from Jesus David Maria to Matty Bogusz. I was shocked. It was on a dime. Caused a little bit of drama. Bogusz had a hard touch. Josh Cohen got there no matter what. But look, we give Murillo a lot of grief on this podcast. It was an absolutely beautiful pass from Murillo to Bogusz. Atlanta brings on a couple more changes with Derek Williams coming on and Edwin Mosquera coming on. That meant that Gregerson and Saba Lojanice both came off. With Saba coming off, I felt like that was their best offensive player, not named Thiago Almada. So great job there. And again, I'll say it, the moment hasn't happened yet, but in the 77th minute, another dumb foul by Edward Atuesta. He's already on a yellow. He went hard at Muyumba. And you know Atlanta's crowd, they're a smart, soccer-savvy supporters group. They're smart, soccer-savvy supporters is what I wanted to say. Yeesh, there we go. And Atlanta wanted that second yellow on Atuesta after that foul by Muyumba. Unfortunately for them, but fortunately for us, it didn't happen. And then again, Thiago Almada over it on that free kick. And again, the ball got recycled out to Muyumba, who just got fouled, Philly. And I don't know if you saw the replay from behind. If that doesn't hit Derek Williams in the butt, it goes past the keeper, Hugo Lloris, for a goal, and we're tied at 1.
Yeah, but it didn't happen. So nervy moments nonetheless. I mean, we had, dude, throughout the course of the 60s, there were nervy moments where Atlanta United really looked pretty darn good. And you mentioned Thiago Almada, who snuck in the game, was a big part of that. Hugo Lloris got himself a couple of saves in that 81st minute. Such a nervy scenario, man. But Hugo did come up pretty freaking huge when it came down to it. But moments after Hugo saved our butts, Edward Atuesta gets that foul just outside of the box. And dude, you know he was asking for it, absolutely asking for it. It just sucks now that we have to sit him down. We can't use him in the next game. By the way, 7:45 on Wednesday. I'll. At least we all have a shot at making it. But yeah, it sucks, especially with Ilie Sanchez being the way he is. It just puts us in a stupid scenario. Atuesta, though, should have probably gotten that yellow card even earlier than when he got it in the 81st minute.
Yeah, wasn't exactly sure what Hugo Lloris was doing to give that ball away, and then he had to come all the way back out to save his own bacon. Right before that, by the way, Ryan Hollingshead and Eric Duenas coming on for Matty Bogusz and Omar Campos. So those subs are like-for-like subs. which is fine. Although Duenas, that meant he was playing up. I didn't see who it doesn't really matter because we had to change everything we were doing afterwards. But in that 80th minute, I really wanted to know what was going to happen. With Eric Duenas coming on for Matty Bogusz, who was playing up top, did that mean that Eric Duenas was going to play up top? Or maybe they would have slid over maybe a Timothy Tillman up top or whoever. I just don't know who it would have been. But it absolutely does not matter. The red card for Edward Atuesta in the 82nd minute. And what I really didn't like after that was all the BS time wastery that we saw him do. He went down. There was an ankle injury that he was suffering, which, by the way, was pretty smart because what that meant is because he was being treated for an injury, he came off the pitch and they did not have to wait 2 minutes for them to bring on another player. So we didn't have to go down 10v9. But I just didn't like the whole look from Edward Atuesta. Especially after this game, I got to be honest, I'm just done. Either way, Firmino comes on for Chare, but not that Firmino. Almada with a free kick over the wall. The corner defended very, very well by Maxime Chanot. And then Eddie Segura coming on for Kike Oliveira, which means, by the way, at that point, in the 89th minute, we have Eddie Segura, Maxime Chanot, Jesus Murillo, and Aaron Long. That is 4 center backs all the way out there on the back line. We were playing 5 in the back. Chanot goes out wide to the left. There was just, I lost track of how many different formations we were playing. We had 10 men. We had 5 in the back. 4 of them were center backs, 3 turtle doves, 2, I don't know, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah.
They don't call you the best color man in the biz for nothing. That's such a great line from Major League. I miss it. Look, Philly, we only had 8 minutes of stoppage time where we tried to possess the ball pretty much never. I agree with what Erica was saying, that Eric Duenas was playing very, very aggressively, which was nice. Luis Muller coming on for Denis Bouanga, but unfortunately we had to be 10v9 for a little bit because Denis took a little bit too much time coming on. It was just such a hot mess. Last minute, Muyumba just misses. Either way, we win 1-0. 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves. Thanks, Lafferty. Appreciate you.
Yeah. And speaking of third, we just won our 3rd straight MLS match. Pretty darn cool. Notched that one on our belt. First ever win at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's pretty darn good. And for all the flack I gave it to him in the beginning of the season as well, Hugo Lloris now has put 301 minutes in MLS with a shutout streak, 3rd longest in club history, which, by the way, I know there's a certain listener to the pod here that would be eager to have Hugo Lloris beat the current record holder as the shutout streak, and that is one Tyler Miller, who has the longest shutout streak of 388 minutes going back to that 2019 season. That's pretty darn cool. And then to top things off, LAFC equals the Sounders as the fastest team to reach 100 regular season victories since MLS did away with those silly shootouts back at the turn of the decade or the century in the year 2000. 206 matches is how long it took us to hit that streak. That's a stat that I wasn't even paying attention to until the club announced it. So a lot of good things transpired. We did get lucky to walk out of Mercedes-Benz Stadium with 3 points because that's something that's never happened. And yikes. It was fun and it was close, but we won, and that's all that there is to it.
Yeah, after all the matches had been played, LAFC now sits 4th in the West on 24 points, 1 point behind both Minnesota, who we play next, and Carson, both of them obviously with 25 points and 5 points back of the fast impending juggernaut that is Real Salt Lake, playing very, very well this season. Kudos to Chicho for having an MVP caliber season. So 4th in the West, but in a great position right now. But Philly, 2 big matches coming up Wednesday, May 29th at BMO, Minnesota United. You mentioned it, a 7:45 kickoff time. So don't miss that. 7:45 is the kickoff time. And then Saturday, June 1st at BMO against FC Dallas, 7:30 p.m. for that kickoff time. Philly, 2 matches, 2 One More Sleeps, 2 podcasts. We got this podcast going on. We got ourselves a busy week, my friend, but you know what? Both of them at BMO.
No, that's good. Not the tailgating won't be as wild on Wednesday because many of us do have to go to work. And with a 7:45 start, well, the only reason I think that sucks is because it'll just be a late night for us, and then we have work on Thursday. It goes back to that Groundhog Day worth type of life living. That's why I think it sucks. If I didn't have to worry and I liked my job, things would be great. But I do like my other job, which I'll mention something about here momentarily. We have a lot of stuff to do, so much content to create. And the one thing I did want to say before we start to wrap things up, I know a lot of you out there have been following this game for a long time. I know that you've heard of the names Ronaldinho and Kaká in the past. Look, Sunday, June 16th, at Toyota Arena. Yes, I know it's Father's Day. It would be a great Father's Day gift for those that truly love this game. There is going to be an MASL-style game of soccer played at Toyota Arena with Kaká, Ronaldinho, and several other key players and influencers. Mo Ali's going to be in the house. Kid Super. A lot of people that will go they'll be mentioned as we start to get closer with it. Yours truly may or may not be on the call on beIN Sports on that day, but there are tickets available. Check it out, June 16th at Toyota Arena. It's called the Game of Legends. You might have seen me post about it on Defenders or on my personal. Check it out. Really get to see a lot of cool stuff, man. Kaká and Ronaldinho in the same building. Get through early. Who knows? Maybe you get a chance to chat with them, meet them, get a photo or an autograph. Great Father's Day gift for those of you on the fence not knowing what to get.
Couldn't have said it better, my friend. LAFC keeping it 100 in Atlanta for episode 304. I'm amazed that we were able to talk for a full hour about this match. But you know what? 3 points on the road.
You somehow found a way, Scarf. There was one point when I was rolling my eyes. I'm like, God, why are we talking about this? Let's move on.
3 point. Well, you got a little caught up with somebody in the chat, but we'll see what Al Hearn says next time.
I mean, if he didn't say anything, I wouldn't have gotten caught up with it.
Either way, look, 3 points on the road at Atlanta is incredible, and we will take that 100% of the time. I missed us bringing back the thing that I said I was going to bring back. And
of course you did. That's a typical episode of Defenders when we say we're going to talk about something and we don't bring it up.
I talked about
more than one occasion.
I talked about it, but I didn't do the thing that I was going to do. So I promise it for episode 305. We're going to figure out how to bring it back. And if you know what it is, hit us up. And I don't know, we'll send you a virtual hug. Either way, you know how we like to end all of our episodes, Philly. We've done 304 of these.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.